Are you familiar with the tagline, "But first, coffee"? This is a saying by young people who believe in the power of coffee and helping them stay focused at work to meet deadlines, ultimately climbing the corporate ladder. Drinking coffee is now a denoted belief in corporate culture, where a productive day is synonymous with how much coffee one has had. It is not just coffee, however. Others are avid tea drinkers who also share the belief that this hot beverage has the power to relax them into a high level of concentration that helps them perform better in their various roles. The thing is, while both coffee and certain teas can help with staying alert, they can be quite addictive because of some culprit ingredients. Well, like all other addictive substances, the long-term consumption of some of these hot beverages can be quite detrimental to the health of those who consume them. To discuss further, here is pharmacologist and consultant cardiologist Dr. Kiran Bhagat.
Well, we're in winter now, Puranseko, but I think people drink hot beverages as a routine throughout the year. And it's important to understand initially, before we even talk about the content of the beverage, the dangers of actually drinking hot beverage, which we've seen in our daily practice. And the commonest one are burns. Sometimes the beverage is too hot and you can burn your lips or your tongue, or if you swallow hot beverages and it's too hot for the gullet or the esophagus, you can actually burn the esophagus. So it's important to make sure that when you're preparing a hot beverage or even hot water, that it's cool enough for you to sustain within your mouth and to swallow, because people have issues either with their teeth or their gums. They may have, everybody has certain cuts and fissures on the tongue, or you may be taking medication with the beverage that may interact with hot water, for example. In terms of the content, it's important to appreciate that some are highly addictive, and those that are listening to this may well be aware who they are, and the one culprit is caffeine. We live in a world of caffeine. People wake up and can only get their daily energy boost from a shot of caffeine, and unfortunately this caffeine is sometimes mixed with the other things that are equally toxic, and everybody knows about them. You're adding sugar to your coffee, you're adding a creamer to your coffee, you're adding artificial sweetness to your coffee, and all of these things add up in terms of or you go out and get a coffee from a takeaway or a supermarket to which you don't know what they've added. So these things become by nature an addictive compound. Caffeine itself is a stimulant, and if taken regularly, the body adapts to it. So eventually you need 2 or 3 or 4 cups of coffee to keep you driven in the same way. And unfortunately, as we've discussed in previous programs with hot beverages, is that the later during the day you drink your coffee or your hot beverage, the longer that caffeine lasts. So you may have problems at night getting to sleep because you've taken your last coffee at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That coffee is still in your blood by 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, causing a lack of sleep or insomnia, which then results in fatigue. And the next morning, you double up your hot beverage and you go back in circles and circles. So that's also important. It's also important to understand that people have, like we say, additional diseases which may be compounding or be aggravated by your hot beverage, which contains that sugar and the caffeine. If you are somebody who has palpitations, if you take a hot beverage that contains coffee, which is addictive, it may make your palpitations worse in spite of the pills you take. If you have blood pressure, if you're diabetic and you take sugar with your beverage, it may escalate and spike your sugar. So these are cautions and precautions that people need to take when drinking hot beverages.
Let us now speak specifically to the teas. Why are some people addicted to teas?
I think teas are certainly a much better hot beverage to take than coffee. We speak of green teas and mint teas, lemon teas, ginger teas. These are much healthier for you, with the proviso that you understand that taking a hot beverage should not generally be with milk or sugar or artificial sweeteners.
I know you've alluded to my next question, but I want to know, what are some of the much more dire side effects, or even fatal, if you will, of continued consumption of some of these hot beverages?
Everybody today understands that if you have pre-existing, or I hope they do after our programs, if you have existing chronic diseases, and if you are middle-aged to elderly, you are getting tired, you're going through, whether it's the male or the female menopause, you are not sleeping well, you're taking sleeping tablets, you're waking up in the morning still feeling tired, you're not sleeping well, you're snoring, you're overweight, you're getting sluggish in the morning, and you're reaching out for that coffee or that cup of tea to boost you. What happens is, if you don't have it in the morning, you go into withdrawal. So the withdrawal, people get sweaty, they get shaky, they get shivery, they get palpitations, they feel constantly tired, they fall asleep at the desk. If you have blood pressure and you've taken too much coffee, your blood pressure may escalate to a level that requires you to get into hospital. If you have already blockages in your heart and you've had heart disease and you take too much coffee, it may cause a heart attack. If you're mixing your coffee with other things, there are some that on the market, there are some energy drinks on the market that we've spoken about. If you're mixing your hot beverage in the morning with an energy booster during the day, that compounds it. So people do strange things and buy strange things, unbeknown that they're causing a risk to themselves, either because of a pre-existing unknown condition or that they're already on chronic medication, simple medication like blood pressure or diabetic medication, antiretrovirals, antibiotics. People need to understand these are all chemicals that are interacting in your system. You don't feel well, it may be because of the mixture that you're taking together with the tablets that may be causing the problem.
What are some of the alternatives that are there that, someone watching this segment and is willing to make better choices about their hot beverages are there for them to replace these coffees and teas that you've mentioned?
If you're going to take a beverage like chocolate, make sure that it's unsweetened cacao. Put a little bit of perhaps honey in it with warm water rather than milk, and drink that as a hot beverage. If you really have to have something warm or hot in the morning, I definitely recommend the herbal teas. The mint tea, the ginger tea, they are really delicious and they are not harmful, they are not addictive, they are boosting, they are full of antioxidants, and they do provide you a calming effect to your morning rather than this rapid rush and go in the morning.
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?